Bonus episode!
Is there such a thing as an emotional no-no square?
In other words, how far is too far emotionally?
Anneri, you have a small kid, right?
Yes, she's 4.
She's 4 years old.
Yes.
Have you heard there's this super trendy song going around that they actually use to teach kids and young people like about stranger danger and, you know,
Oh, wow.
not allowing strangers to come too close for comfort.
yeah.
It's really trendy. It goes like this,
Okay.
Stop. Don't touch me there. That's my no-no square. Stop. Don't touch me there. That's my no-no square. Stop. Don't touch me there. That's my no-no square. Stop. Don't touch me there.
Don't touch you there. That's my no-no square. Stop. Don't touch you there. That's my no-no. A lesson really stuck with me, you see. To respect each other's bodies. This is my space and that is your space. We do not enter.
Aden, have you seen the new Bridgerton?
I haven't seen it, but I honestly want to watch it because I saw the trailer the other day and it looks fantastic.
Doesn't
I
it?
mean, pretty people in pretty clothes doing epic things, totally on the bucket list to get that to watch it.
Exactly. So that's exactly why.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I started watching it.
Okay.
And that's all the reasons why I wanted to, because it has everything a girl would want in a really good new
Absolutely.
series. The only thing was I was a little bit worried because the age restriction says 16.
Well, I am older than 16.
Me too. So I thought,
you are much older than 16.
Okay, let's not go there. Thanks, Aden. So I am of age. But the other thing that was interesting, it actually said sexual violence.
Hectic.
So obviously I'm assuming, okay, maybe like a rape scene or something. So I'm already like bracing myself, but now
Yeah.
I'm into it, and it's beautiful costume and a really gripping storyline. And the next moment, out of nowhere, there's like this really hectic sexual scene.
So, like porn.
Yes,
Wow,
basically.
okay.
And the worst part, it wasn't like just once, I can quickly forward.
Okay.
I kept forwarding, and it just went on.
Was it like in more than one episode?
Yes.
Hectic.
So I was really upset because I'm thinking to myself, okay, this show is #1 in South Africa.
Yeah, it actually has the most views of an original Netflix series of all time.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, and the way that they made the trailer, for me as a girl, I'm going, okay, this is awesome.
Looks
like,
great.
I want to watch this. And I didn't see that coming at all.
But I mean, it actually raises a pretty interesting point because I am of the opinion that there's a very specific reason why shows like Bridgerton, even The Witcher, let's be honest, or a movie like 50 Shades of Grey, or, you know, all these different types of romance novels that ladies,
Yes.
we tend to read. I think there's a very specific reason why they tend to do so well. And
Yes.
even with Bridgerton, it is focused on female viewership. No guy got excited about the idea of this period piece with people in wonderful clothing.
Yeah, in
you know.
fact, Murray, I showed the trailer to my
Your
husband,
husband,
Murray.
yeah.
And his first reaction was, this is a
super
girly
girly,
show.
right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I think these shows and movies and novels, they do so well with female viewers because they actually get one thing right from the start. And ladies, that's this. They speak to our emotions, right?
Exactly.
I actually have a good friend, and she's a big fan of Bridgerton. And the one time we were having this conversation, and she said, "No, I need to watch Bridgerton." And I was like, you know, I have heard that it can become quite explicit in some scenes, like porn, basically. And she agreed. She said, "Yeah, there are some scenes that you need to like forward through, but the story is just so amazing." And that's what they get right. They get us to be invested with our emotions. So by the time the explicit nature of the physical porn pops up, we're so okay with that because we've actually been indulging in the emotional porn of it, right? Because that's basically what it is. It's we're engaging in emotional porn, and I'm so desensitized that I'm okay with watching these things.
Exactly, and I think that's actually what shocked even myself, is now I'm invested because I'm invested in the story, I'm invested in this amazing romantic couple that your mind almost goes, I I can excuse this
Yeah.
because it's okay.
Yeah.
And with that, I think the whole problem is we as girls talk about physical boundaries.
Because
a
that's
lot.
actually what we're talking about
Yes.
on the Good Question show for these few weeks. We're talking about relationships,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
And we're talking about boundaries, the how
Yes.
far is too far kind of
Yes.
conversation.
But that's the stuff we always talk about.
Yes, yeah.
And this was one of those examples where I realized we don't talk about emotional boundaries. And maybe just to say this, if you didn't watch our show about physical boundaries, the guys did an amazing job last week where
Yeah.
they gave you everything that you need to know about physical
Yeah,
boundaries.
they did a brilliant job.
Yes,
so you need to go
please
watch that
go watch
episode.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
For
I
today's
think,
topic, we're actually talking
yeah,
about emotional boundaries.
we realize this is actually something that we as women need to talk about. But
especially.
now my question is this, okay?
Yeah.
Like with the physical boundaries, there's clear-cut rules. There's obvious things that I can
Yeah.
go, don't do this, you know, don't
this
stay
is
out
too
late,
far,
yeah,
yeah.
don't wear this maybe, or
Yeah,
like, don't
yeah.
touch me there, you know. But when it comes to emotional boundaries, where are the clear-cut rules? What are the rules?
Yeah, that's a good question. I believe there are 5 rules when it
5?
comes to 5 exact rules when it comes to healthy emotional boundaries
Okay.
in our relationships with men, and they are the following. Number 1, you ready for this?
Yes?
Number 1,
I'm stressing.
it's actually not that simple, all right? We wanted to create a comprehensive list about the rules of emotional boundaries in our relationships with men, but we kind of realized it's not that simple. Why? Because no relationship functions like that.
Exactly.
You know, I don't have a list of rules printed out that I like sort of put on my cupboard in our bedroom, and these are the rules of engagement
Can
when it
you
comes to my
imagine?
husband. What is that? Because that's not relationship, that's dictatorship, right?
Yes.
And it's the same in our relationships here on earth. And if you think about it, God doesn't relate to us via rules.
Exactly.
He doesn't relate to us via laws and regulations. That's what they did in the Old Testament. And every single time anyone who tried to relate to God via the rule system,
Yes.
it was an epic failure.
Yes,
God doesn't
absolutely.
relate to us like that. And in our relationships here on earth with one another, but especially with men as well, I don't think it's helpful to put down 5 rules and that's it, because no relationship works like that. So what we would rather do, I think, in our conversation is we would rather want to speak about relational values,
Yes.
healthy relational values that I can put in place in terms of physical boundaries and emotional boundaries
Yes.
to help me have a healthy relationship. Because the thing is, no one enters a relationship hoping for disaster.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's not your hope for
Yeah,
a relationship.
we don't enter a relationship hoping that this will end up in a massive ball of flame and fire and shame and
Yes.
pain and disaster. We enter relationships hoping that we'll trust one another, that we'll be safe with one another, that there'll be a real sense of vulnerability with one
Yes.
another. But you see, the thing is, our approach, to the safe destination in our relationship, the approach often leads to pain and shame.
Yes.
And I think it's because we don't have healthy emotional boundaries in place.
Exactly, and that's actually a scripture that I love that explains it so well. Like, we all know the book of Song of Songs.
That's like the 6th book in the Bible, right?
Pretty much. Okay.
Super R-rated, actually.
So it's always the book that we refer to couples that are getting married to go and read it,
Yeah.
because it obviously celebrates sex in a marriage. So
Like
it's
it should be.
beautiful.
It should be celebrated,
Exactly.
right?
But I think what a lot of women miss is that the lady in the book actually makes a statement, and she does it a few times, where she speaks to other women. And
Alright.
she says, do not awaken or stir up love before it's time.
Yeah, I think it's like Song of Songs 8, verse 4. or something
Yeah,
like that.
somewhere
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
So she says it a few times, but I think what I love about it is, number one, she's not saying it to the guy that she loves. She's also
Yeah.
not saying it to groups of people. She's saying it specifically
She's speaking to
women.
other ladies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And why I love that is because she is referring to guarding your heart, because it's not just a physical thing for women.
Yeah, I mean,
okay?
that's where love starts for us, right, ladies?
Yes.
For a guy, it's very physical because that's how God made them and put them together. And it's
Exactly.
wonderful.
It's awesome.
But if we consider ourselves, love and desire and, the wanting to be with someone is often more the emotional aspect of
Yes.
it than the physical
It's
aspect.
absolutely emotional,
Yeah.
and that's why when she says that, it's almost like God already knew that we needed to hear that you must guard your heart.
Yes. Yes.
And
which
my
can translate
question-
as emotional boundaries, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then my question immediately is, so how do I do that? And the first thing, the obvious thing is I guard my heart with what I put into my heart. And that means, like with Bridgerton, when I realized, okay, this is actually rubbish, I
Yeah,
switched it
it's
off.
not
I'm
really
not
helpful.
going to put it into my heart.
Sure.
If I read books that is not good for me emotionally, because it's stirring up all the stuff that she says, do not awaken
It's kind
or
of
stir up
creating
love.
a worldview that isn't actually biblical.
Yes,
right?
so I am guarding what goes into my heart.
Sure.
But in the same sense, you must also guard what you do with your heart, who you give it to.
Yeah.
Because if I go to my guy friends, or say
Or my
I've had
boyfriend.
multiple boyfriends
Yeah.
even, then if I'm constantly sharing and giving of my heart, I'm not guarding it. I'm literally stirring and awakening love before it's time
Sure.
because I'm emotional. So every time I share with a guy that hasn't actually made a commitment to me,
Sure.
I'm giving of myself to him. And because guys don't think like this,
Yeah.
they don't see it like that. We're just talking and sharing. But for a girl, I mean,
It's-
the more emotional we
it's
get, the
significant.
closer we get,
Yeah.
all right? So that's two very practical ways of looking at what she was actually addressing. But I think maybe what would be good to talk about is what happens when you are now sharing or oversharing, because it's easy to say, guard your heart.
Yeah, that's the
Why?
value we
Why
want to
must you
communicate.
guard your heart to other men?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I think it's because, you said it now, we need to be careful about what we put in and we need to be careful about what we give out, right? We can't just go
Yes.
giving all of myself to all of my guy friends or to even every single boyfriend that I've had these past 2 years,
Yes.
or all the boyfriends that I will still have in the future. Because actually what happens, it's kind of like, ladies, you're undressing yourself emotionally to
Yes.
every single man you come into contact with, and that's hectic. That's
Yeah.
quite a visual
Very.
statement. But I mean, that's literally what happens because
Yeah.
God created us as emotional creatures, not emotion in the bad sense, like, oh, women are emotional,
No, no.
But He created us as these mysterious, wonderful beings, that fit so well with the man that He eventually gives us. But if I end up, just kind of giving myself emotionally to every friend, every boyfriend, every guy that I come into contact with, it's literally like I'm undressing. I'm
Exactly.
undressing myself emotionally, and we even often do it physically. And then on the other side, we start wondering, why do I have trust issues? Why do I find it difficult to be vulnerable? Or why do I feel it that when I'm vulnerable, like the guy doesn't respect me or he doesn't take good care of me, and then all of a sudden I'm in pain and I don't really understand why.
Yes.
But it's because you've been undressing yourself. You've just been
Yes.
giving yourself emotionally to each man. And then what happens is he sees all of you, because you're now sharing all of you.
Yes.
He sees all of it and then he doesn't want it.
Oh,
He doesn't want to commit
that's
to
so
it.
well said. I think you must say that again in the mic.
He sees, listen up ladies, he sees all of you. Maybe he's seen all of you physically, which is already a big deal.
Exactly.
But now he's getting to see all of you emotionally as well, because you're undressing yourself in each relationship that you've been in. So then he sees all of it and he doesn't want it.
Yes.
He doesn't want to commit to it, put a ring on it, and promise to love you regardless of
Yes.
what you end up bringing almost. And that's why we have pain on the other side of
Yes.
broken or breakups. That's why we have pain.
Exactly, and I think that's what we want to get across today. We don't just want to say have emotional boundaries or you will
'cause
be scarred.
that's super vague.
It's exactly like with physical boundaries.
Yeah.
We don't want to just fight against stuff the whole time. We want to fight for something.
Yes, that's good.
And what I love about this, that when you said that about he sees all of you but he doesn't want it. When it comes to the guy that you will have for the rest of your life, when you commit to a covenant marriage, that guy has taken the time to get to know you and to respect your body, but also your emotions, so that by the
Exactly.
time you get married, not only does he put a ring on it,
Yes.
he's actually saying, I want to see all of it.
Yes.
And I want to keep seeing all of it for the rest of our lives, and I'm going to treasure it, because the thing is, sex is not just sex.
Yeah.
Sex is also the emotional part of engaging as a
Absolutely.
couple. I mean, for any married man, he will tell you this is where the excitement actually lies, is to get your wife to open up her heart to you.
Exactly.
And from that place, you have intimacy together, because it's emotional and it's physical.
Yes.
And for me, that makes me excited to say, I'm not going to share my heart because it's a rule.
Yeah.
I'm doing it because I want to wait for the guy that wants everything, not just my
Yeah.
body, but
Yeah.
all my secrets, my desires, my dreams, my fears, our future.
And for the guy who will then promise to love you regardless of what he then discovers.
Exactly.
You know, because that's again where the pain comes in. I reveal so much of myself, and then we don't end up committing to one another.
Yes.
And then I don't get why am I in so much emotional pain after a bad breakup.
Yes,
You know?
exactly.
So I know that's super vague though.
No, I do understand that. I mean, as girls, we like to talk things through for a
Yeah.
few hours.
Yeah.
So we unfortunately can't do that. But we really had on our heart that if you have more questions and you
Yeah.
actually want to dig a little bit deeper, because I was especially thinking now while we're talking about how awesome is marriage and how awesome is sex in marriage, that there's probably some girls throwing some popcorn at us right now because it's like, good for you. You're married and I'm in a dating relationship, and we want to say we get it. You know, we were there, we know the frustrations of it.
Yeah.
And you're probably sitting there now, what now? I'm dating, so what must I do? We want to encourage you with two things. The one is to open the conversation with your boyfriend,
Go for
and
it.
especially even a guy friend that you've maybe already overstepped the boundary
Overshared
with.
some things.
Start having the conversation and put the boundary down. But also, we want to invite you to continue your conversation with us. So somewhere here, there's going to be a floating link to our email addresses, and we want to encourage you to email us and continue the conversation, because we would love to do that.
I have one more piece of wisdom, if I can maybe share that with
Please
us.
do share your wisdom.
It's actually like the illustration of like a chair. So allow me to share my wisdom with you, if you will.
Share your wisdom.
So, but here's the thing. All of us know how annoying it is if you sit on a chair and the one leg is shorter or, you know, longer than the other legs, or even like a table, you know, like this table.
Like this table.
A table where
This table.
where the one leg is okay, there you go. where the one leg is taller or shorter than the other leg. Super annoying, right?
Very annoying.
So annoying.
You had one job.
Because it's lopsided. But the thing is, think of your relationship like, you know, a table or a chair. You have certain, you know, legs.
Yes.
And we are so keen to always talk about the physical boundaries, but we never talk about emotional boundaries in our relationships. And I mean, that's literally like saying I have all these extreme physical boundaries when it comes to my relationships. Like, I'm not even going to kiss him until we get married, or, you know, whatever the case may be. But I have zero emotional boundaries.
Yes.
Friends, that equals a very lopsided table, which is good for nothing.
Yes.
You know?
is.
So the thing is, when you put down physical boundaries in your relationships with men, you must talk about emotional boundaries, because these things were meant to grow together. Because the more I engage physically with a man, the more I want to engage emotionally with him. So the
Absolutely.
last bit of wisdom is you can't talk about the one and not talk about the other.
Yes.
That's actually the point.
And it will have to sometimes come from you as the girl, because we are the ones that need
Yeah.
to have emotional boundaries. So even if a guy in your life doesn't really get this,
Yeah.
it's okay. It doesn't have to be something he gets. It's something we need to get. It's
Yes.
something we need to go, I want to start putting this boundary down, and he will respect you for that.
So that we can have good relationships.
Yeah, the chair of wisdom.
Allow me to share my wisdom with you. But I think that's it.
That is it.
Sure. We kind of ended quite deep.
Very.
I think we need to like lighten the end of the episode a bit more. Can we do the song again? Guys,
do the song.
can we do the
Can we
song
do the
again?
song?
Right.
A lot of bass this time.
We're gonna do it again?
A lot of bass.
Let's do it.
Step, stop, don't touch me there. That's my no-no. Step, stop, don't touch me there. That's my no-no. Unless I'm really stuck with me, you see, to respect each other's bodies. This is my space and that is your space. We do not enter each other's space. I just wanna kiss, that's not your choice. You don't get to say it's my body. You better back it up now.